Okay, let me record this session. Okay, now first actually whenever you want to write any application, first we need to do DB design. Now for example, we have a employee table. This is the table. We have a employee ID, employee name, employee address, employee salary. This is the table you have in your database. Okay, this is the table. Now I want to write a one microservice which will support all CRUD operations. And it has a business logic. Now, you know how to create an application. Yesterday, I taught you. Right. Today, I'll tell you how to create one by one package and all. First, our bash package, what we are creating com.org. TCS yesterday we have created TCS. In this base package, we have a main class. In this main class, we have annotated with @Spring Boot application. Okay. This is anyway automatically it will come. You don't need to worry about this. Second, we created a package name called com.org.tcs.model. This model and this table we need to map. Then how we are mapping yesterday? We are writing a class employee, open braces and close the braces. Now we have to add @entity class, @table. You can write your table name here. If it is the same, your class name and table name, you don't need to worry about anything. If his class name is employee IMP or employee entity, your table name is employee, then this employee we have to write here. EMPL, employee underscore table you can write here, underscore table you can write. If this employee entity, if you're writing as a model, your table name is employee table, then we need to add @table. This table is mapped with employee entity. That is the mapping we have to do. Next, private int ID, private string employee, small letter always property, employee name, private string employee address, private double employee salary. These are the properties you have added, but your table data table column is different. See, EID is there, but here ID is there. Then what we need to add at the rate column, column. Your column, what is EID? EID should map with ID. At the rate column, ename. Ename should map with employee name. At the rate column, e-address is mapped with the employee address. At the rate column, e-salary is mapped with the employee salary. Like that, we have to map it. Like that, we have to map it. So that your model can understand this is my employee table is interacting with my model. Okay, that is what we have to map it. Then second thing is, who is the primary key data type? Primary key is the integer. This is the employee ID is a primary key. If it is a primary key, you have to add at the rate ID. At the rate ID is nothing but a primary key. It indicates primary key. While seeing your model, who is having at the rate ID, those are the primary keys. Okay, if more than one primary key, that name is called as a composite key. They might use embedded. They might use embedded or embeddable. Okay, this is the what we need to define each and every entity. Maybe in your application, maybe employee, student. But for example, you have an application. In that application, we have a different table, right? More than 10 tables is there. Each table have its own entity class. Okay, that is need to map with your table. Okay, that is what we need to take care. I think so now you understand, right? What is the model and now second step while writing a POC, second step what? Com dot, org dot, TCS dot, repository, say repository is a packaging. Under that, we have to write a EMPLOY employee repository, EXTENDS extends JPA repository, JPA repository. Under that, we have to pass two values. One is entity class name. What is the entity class name? Employee entity. You have to write employee entity. And this table, what is the primary key? This table, primary key is the employee ID. Then what is the data type? Data type is the integer. Data type is the integer. And so you have to write here integer. Sometimes data type may be primary key is a string. We have to add string here. Sometimes employee, some other table, primary key is float. You have to add float here. That way we have to mention. And after that, you have to annotate it with REPOSITORY repository. Now, what we have completed still now, we have a table, employee table. We have a controller layer, service layer, and repository layer. Now we are interacting with the repository using this repo. And in the middle, we have to map with table, and this one you are writing a entity class. Entity class. Up to this we have completed. Now we have to write a service layer and controller layer. Service layer, we need to talk to the repository, and the repository service layer, you can talk to the controller. It's a mediator, you can say. That mediator, I can say this is business logic we need to write. Logic. Now I will write a service layer. One more slide I'll open. Com dot org dot ECS dot service. The service what we need to do. We have to write a class employee service, sorry, interface here. In this, we have a create employee. What is the employee? That is a one method. Update employee. Employee, that means one employee can say that, and update delete employee based on ID what type integer I update based on employee ID integer I and delete update and get all employees, then nothing you need to do. Because all employees, you can list of employees user return type. Update string success or delete string success or failure. Update also again string. Here create success or failure. You can write your string or response entity. That is response entity. Your choice. That is whatever you want to display, you can display that. But get it should return list of values. Okay, if I want to get based on ID, if I want to get employee based on ID, then integer I you can pass. That means one ID only, right? You will get the employee. This is the return type. These are the methods then we need to implement for the service layer. Service layer, we are writing an interface, maybe interface employee service. This all service is an abstract method. We need to implement one more class we need to write in the service layer. That is what? Class employee service IMPL implementation implements employee service. This all methods implementation you have to do in the employee service IMPL in the real time. Now you have to implement each and every method. Each and every method you have to implement here. Now get data, put data, get all, get by ID, update by ID, all the methods you have to implement because you are using implements keyword that interface. It will ask you to this guy, hey class, you are implement my method, your param is that you are implementing my method. Can you please implement my all methods? Okay, this is the what actually service layer. Now we need to add one more controller layer. What? Controller layer. Com dot watch dot TCS dot controller. In this controller, you can write a class controller. Okay. Here, at the rate REST controller annotation, at the rate request mapping annotation, we need to write. In that map, maybe you can use Amazon.com or TCS.com, whatever it may be, it will be there. After that, we have to write what? At the rate get mapping for getting, @put mapping for creating, @patch mapping for particular record if you want to update, and put get put patch @delete mapping get put get put uh, patch delete and post mapping for create or create. These are the mappings we need to add in your control package. Now, how many packages we created? We created first package what we have created, base package, com.org.tcs. Under that we have a main class. Second package what we created, com.org.tcs.model R entity. It has entity classes. com.org.tcs.service. It has business logic. Service classes contains business logic. Next package is com.org.tcs.controller. It has it control the request. It control the request. Next package is resources. com.org.tcs. How might be resources? Resources means your entity class already we have created. Same model we need to create here so that we can pass the value from one layer to another layer. That is the resources. Resources means same model only. You can say some people may call DAO, data access object, DTO. Maybe some people call DTO, not DAO, DTO. This is some people call DAO, data access object. Some people call DTO, data transfer object. Here we have to mention. Okay, maybe different teams are different. People are calling different way around. But we are calling entity. Some people calling DAO, data access object. We are calling resources. Some people calling DTO, data transfer object. Like that they may call. Okay. Now again one more package name called com.org.tcs.exception. Exception package. You can derive the exceptions. In Spring Boot, if you want to derive the exceptions in two ways, one is control advice annotation, control advice annotation. Second one is exception handler. This is a global exception. This is a method level. That's it. This is the class level. Okay. Now we have a packages names called one is base package, model, service, controller, resources. Okay. Now I want to see what kind of code is there. Maybe I'll write it all things, don't worry. But I want to see some kind of project so that you can understand. Okay. Now you go to Google, Spring Boot with the REST service MySQL DB with the exceptions, thread operations you can type. GitHub also you can type. Don't use like normal GitHub. I wrote already GitHub, but anyway, I don't want to see mine only. I don't want to show you. But anyway, this is the one guy wrote. I don't know who is guy. But now if you're seeing here, this is the main class. If this is a Java bookstore, this is a bookstore project they have done. Now he is created a controller, DAO, entity, data access object. I think so. You don't know, like, maybe DAO, DTO, DTO should add. Entity is nothing but a unit interacting with the database. But is initially he wrote maybe this is leave it. I think so. I'm not good. Not good in this guy example. Maybe you can take some other guys. Okay. Anyway, this guy maybe very that. Okay. This guy we took. This guy will take. Maybe this guy will take. Okay. See, this guy is having 11 months. Now it's going on. The main class we can go. In this is the main. Oops. This guy is having so many less. I want more packages. Tick, tick. GitHub. Okay. GitHub. Okay. Anyway, some other guys. We'll see. I'll analyze it. And see, this guy is having so many packages. Now, firstly, this guy is adding model layer. See, whatever I mentioned, one is service is there, resource is there, service is there, repository is there, model is there, controller is there, exception is there. One more model, configuration, build application, your choice. But configuration should be there. That is a one more model. All configuration we have to write it. For example, we can go to the model. In the model domain object, this is a DTO object. Now we can go to the here, what he is writing, at the rate data, at the rate entity, at the rate table, at the rate ID, see ID, name and all. Same if it is database, no need to, that is a one thing. Model anyway, we have done. After that repository, what we did, go to your repository, employee repository, action, JPA repository, application model name, and what is the data type of primary key. This guy primary key data type is, might be, you know, uh, uh, long. That's why he is adding long at the rate ID long. But we have an integer. That's the reason we have adding integer. Okay. Just example, I am showing you. Don't worry. I will write each and every line of code for you guys. Okay. Repository done. Next, what I told you, service layer. In the service layer, I have a service IMPL file and service class. I already told you. This is the all methods I can declare. I already declared just now. After that, implemented class that implement this guy, and you can implement all the things. This way you have to implement business logic. This is the done. Service layer also, that way you have to mention. Model done. Controller, right, controller. We can write a REST controller, post mapping, and get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, delete mapping. Now we need to talk about exceptions. I already told you exceptions. Request HTTP not found. Something is mentioning. Instead of that, you can mention in different way. This is an old way of writing. We are using control advanced exception handler is a thing. And configuration. For example, if you want to read the data from the application.properties file, we can use at the rate configuration. You can use it and get the data. That also I'll show you. See, This is the what actually we have to implement one microservice. One microservice. Okay. One microservice we need to implement end to end. These are the packages. These are the packages we need to write. Now we have to add one more package name called com.org.tcs.config. See, these are the packages. One is config, main package, model, service, controller, and exception and resources. Enough. This is the real time you have to define this type of packages, and we need to implement such a way that how I am implementing each and every class, how I am mapping. Please observe so that you can understand. Okay. Now what we'll do, we will write a one service name called employee service, and tomorrow we will service department service. And you need to service this employee service is called to the department service. How to call that? Okay, maybe okay. For example, I have a employee service which I am going to implement it. Okay. Now this is the department service. Maybe I want to call from this service to this service. How to call? You can use REST template or fin client. This is the way we can call this guy to this guy. REST template or fin client. Okay. Now what we will talk about today? Today we'll talk about employee service. We can define one CRUD operation that is post. Okay. Okay, then maybe we can connect with uh, another link so that we can go ahead with the employee service. Okay. Please join that link.